All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the Meet Us in the Ring podcast. It's me, Mary the Heel, as always. And today, our special guest is Shanna Hill. Do you pronounce it Shanna or Shayna?
Shayna.
Okay. Sorry. Shayna Hill. I always
That's
go back and forth with how I pronounce your name.
all right. I answered to anything.
And as you guys can see, Maddie is not here today. She's not feeling well. So everybody go say hi to Maddie. Tell her that, she's in your thoughts. And let's all hope she feels better soon and that she'll be back next week. So we love you, Maddie. Feel better soon. Hey, Phil. What's up? Welcome.
Hey.
Eric, nice to see you. I am good, Eric. I'm ready to talk about the Royal Rumble because that's what we're all here for. Today, we're doing our predictions as we always do before any PLE, and it is the first one of the year. So I'm excited. Um, this feels like one of the most unpredictable Royal Rumbles in recent history because I have no idea what's going on.
Me either. I had a dream the other night that Gunter and his wife invited me to go to the Royal Rumble in England to babysit their newborn baby. And I got a glimpse of who the final five were in that dream. So I'm looking to see if it was like I'm Nostradamus or something, and I can predict the final five of the Royal Rumble.
That would be absolutely wild if it ended up being like who you dreamed it would be. But
I'll go play the lottery for sure.
I would too. Shoot. Isn't it so weird when you have dreams like that because sometimes something pretty similar happens and it makes you feel like, that like everyone has some sort of little I don't know, some little intuition.
It's kind of scary sometimes. Yes.
Hey, Luke Skywalker, welcome back as always. Oh, I mean, Eric, she can't tell you because then it probably won't happen.
And I will tell you during my predictions of the final five when we get to that point, because those are now have been adopted my technically final four, but there is an honorable mention in there.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are you most excited for this Royal Rumble? Oh, I think it might have cut off. We might be having some technical difficulties. Hopefully, it'll resolve itself. But as for now, I'm really excited for this Rumble. And like I said, I think it's going to be one of the most unpredictable ones that we are going to have. I really don't know what's going to happen with Seth's injury. Things might change. Luke, I'm so ready for this pay per view too. I'm really really excited. I want to see Gunther do double duty. I don't know. I don't know. I've probably said this in a podcast episode before, but I am not a person who likes when when people who are already champions enter the Royal Rumble. Shayna, are we back? Maybe. Guys, this is just technology. And what would the Meet Us in the Ring podcast be without technical difficulties? That's just our brand at this point. But yeah, I don't like when people who are currently holding titles go into the Royal Rumble because to me, those spots should be filled by people who don't have the current opportunities and who need an opportunity. And Gunther doesn't need an opportunity. He could go for a title to me, like whenever he wanted, honestly. He could drop the title tomorrow if he wanted to, and he could go after Roman next week. Like, I truly think that Gunther is in that position to where he could do that, and he doesn't need to win the Royal Rumble to do that. Phil, yeah, exactly. Meet Us in the Ring would not be what it is without technical difficulties, you know? And that just is what it is when you're doing a podcast over StreamYard. It just happens. I legit have no picks. I just want to enjoy the Rumble. You know what? Honestly, that's fair. That is so fair because I honestly almost feel the same way. Like, I don't even want to give predictions because I I feel like there's so many variables to how this could go. So, yeah, I agree. I'm definitely just going to be watching to enjoy, and I'm nervous. I'm nervous, guys. Anyone know when Bash at Berlin is? Oh, and Phil said end of August. That, you know, when Triple H said global domination, he really meant it. He really did because like they're going to Australia this year, they're going to Berlin, they're doing a pay-per-view in Canada. They're doing Money in the Bank in Canada for the first time in who knows how long. And they're genuinely just going global. It's my bestie, Ringside Anthony. Hey, the only person I don't want to win is CM Punk. Everyone else could win. Literally, same. So fair. Are we back?
I don't know what happened. I just
It's okay. This is just our brand. Everybody who watches Meet Us in the Ring knows this at this point that the
they just
difficulties are our
stopped
brand.
working. Like my headphones quit, my mic quit, everything just died. It just stopped.
Well, I'm glad you're back.
Thanks.
Anyway, so before the technical difficulties, I was asking you, what are you most excited for this Rumble?
I am excited at the fact that I can't predict what's going to happen. Like, this is the first time in a while that I am honestly like, I'm not going to be surprised no matter what happens. Like, anything that happens, or I am going to be surprised no matter what happens. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't have, especially with this Rollins wrench being thrown into it, with him, being injured and possibly not able to, I don't know. Are they going to have him wrestle for 10 minutes because he's a consummate professional and he wouldn't want to give up the title? And then, like, what's going to come of that? This is the
Yeah.
first year where there could be, like, legitimately, like, 5 or 6 winners of the Royal Rumble. And then you have the Elimination Chamber before that, where you're going to
Mm-hmm.
have someone, like, it's so up in the air right now that it's very unpredictable. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's what I think is really exciting about this year because I really can't call it right now. And,
Mm-mm.
Maybe I'm just not paying close enough attention, but I feel like it's just there's so many options. Like as you'll see with my predictions as we go, I just like have a lot of really conflicting thoughts because I just don't know.
Same.
But the first one that we'll talk about is the women's Royal Rumble because I do think that they're going to open this year because the men opened last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the women are going to open this year. So we'll start with that. And I I kind of put who I would want and then what my prediction is going to be because I feel like those are two different things and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if I put who I want as my prediction and then they're not even there, like it just doesn't work, you know?
I think I know where you're going with this now that you said that.
Maybe. But I'll let you go first. So
Okay.
who do you want to win and then who do you think's gonna win?
Who I want to win and who I think is going to win are actually the same person this year, which very rarely ever
Okay.
happens. But Bailey, I think that this is going to be the the moment, because I've been saying for months now that Damage Control is going to turn on her,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that this, especially because we're seeing Rhea and Becky start their program that I think will culminate at WrestleMania. But I think what we're going to see is I think we're going to see Bailey win it and then call her shot at the SmackDown Women's Champion.
So you think she's gonna go for EO?
I do. I do. I think the turn is going to happen during the Rumble match itself. Like, I think that they're really going to go in on turning on her
Mm-hmm.
with whether it be Dakota coming back or somebody else in the Rumble. I think that that's what's going to happen. It's going to be them thinking that she's not going to throw them over, that kind of thing. And then she ends up winning.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's going for EO. I do.
That would be so wild. And like, obviously, I can see that happening, but it'll still be a shock to me if it does.
Oh yeah, and I wrote down my final four for the women. So I
Mm-hmm.
have Bailey as the winner. And then I think it's gonna be I love Tiffany Stratton, and I think she's coming up for the Rumble, and I think she's gonna be in the final four. So I think it's gonna be Bailey, Tiffany, Bianca, and
Oh no, it's cutting out again. Ugh, guys, this always happens to us. But it's okay. I'm sure she'll get it figured out again. But so we'll continue to talk about the women's rumble when she gets back. But as I was saying before, with the world domination that Triple H has envisioned, someone had mentioned that Backlash is going to be in France. I totally forgot about that. So yeah, that's so many different countries that they're going to, and I am so excited for those fans because this is the opportunity that they've been waiting for, and I'm just so happy for them. Thank you, Luke Skywalker. This is my new favorite wrestling shirt. Okay, we're back again.
I keep losing connection in the browser. It says the browser is not happy for some reason.
Your internet is not happy in that cold weather.
No, it isn't.
So you were saying your final four. You said Jade, or not Jade. You said Tiffany, Bianca, and Bailey, and then who was the fourth person?
Naya.
Oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Yeah.
I yeah. Well, I'll say who I want to win first, and then I'll say who I think the final four will be. But I'm agreeing with you. I really want Bailey to take this. She's one of the four horsewomen. I think that she deserves a Rumble win. And the other person is, if she returns, Miss Liv Morgan. I I want the world for Liv. I love her
Uh-huh.
so much. I want the world for her. If she's coming back for the Rumble, I would 100% want her to win. Um, we don't know if she is, so I don't want to put my eggs in that basket. Who I
Yeah.
think is going to win, if it's not going to be Bailey, it hurts me to say Becky for a second time. I think eventually we're going to get a woman who wins the Rumble twice. We've had it with the
Mm-hmm.
men several times, and I think
Yeah.
if they're going to pick someone to win twice, it's going to be Becky.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I
because of
just
the way
don't
that
think I don't think it's necessary. Like, I think you're right. I
I don't
think
either.
that I could see them doing it with Becky. And like the benefit is the fact that there are two titles. So like with them doing this whole like, thing starting with Rhea and Becky, we know that that's where that's going. Know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like I feel like the Raw title is the one for the men and the women that is obvious of the choices who could go for that belt. It's a little different on SmackDown. So I feel like what's potentially going to happen is the woman that wins is calling out the SmackDown Women's Champion, and the man that wins is calling out the Raw men's the Raw men's champion. So I
Mm.
think that that's potentially what we might see, but I kind of fear that you're right about the Becky Lynch part.
Well, and then my other person, like my super underdog story, is Raquel Rodriguez, and I know it's not going to happen, but I just love her so much, and I think that she's a star. But
I
some
wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it at all.
well, I'm glad you feel that way because I know there's other people who would. Do you have any returns that you're hoping for the women?
For the women, I have some like surprises listed. So
Mm-hmm.
like I think I'm not sure exactly who, but with WrestleMania being in Philly, and like I think that a large majority of the Hall of Famers for this year's Hall of Fame are going to be centered around ECW. And I think we could potentially see like a female ECW legend. I'm not sure which one at this point, but I'm thinking that potentially we might see something like that. I would also love to see like a Victoria or, Beth Phoenix come in and do like a stare down with Nia Jax or Raquel Rodriguez, or, something like that, where you see like the strength of Beth Phoenix facing off against like Raquel. Like, I think it could be cool.
Mm-hmm. As much as everyone knows that I do not like CM Punk, I'm really hoping AJ
Same.
Lee comes in. I I might cry if AJ Lee shows up at the Rumble because
I'm a fan.
yeah, and like sometimes it's hard to separate real life from WWE, and obviously I don't love the things that she has said about Total Divas, and about that era specifically, and being married to CM Punk, but I loved her character. I love her as a wrestler, so I would absolutely love to see her back. And I already said Liv Morgan, and just let's just throw in Sasha Banks because I'd be so freaking happy if Sasha returned. But I
Yeah,
just feel like I
I
feel like
I
that's too
could
many
that's where I
surprises.
thought you were going with it when you said a surprise, like that
Hmm.
you wanted to win and who was potentially going to. That's where I thought you were going with it.
Yeah, and I just feel like that would be too many surprises, though, And I just feel like that would be really overdoing it if it was a bunch of people. But like, why not? The Royal Rumble is meant to be
I
fun.
miss the 40 people. I miss it when it was the one year where they did 40. I think that
Yeah.
especially for the men, because you get the legends that come in and they take the spot from like the NXT people that have been working so hard to get to a premium live event, that I think
Hmm.
if you did 40 people for the men, and you could even do like, I mean, with the legends and stuff, you could do 35 or 40 women. And there are so many women in NXT right now that are really showing what they have, that you could
Hmm.
find 10 women to throw in, between legends and other people from NXT that you could get
For
to
sure.
show up for the Rumble.
For sure. And as for my final four, I think it's going to be Bailey, Becky, Bianca, and Jade. If Liv's not coming back, like right
Mhm.
now, then I think
Yeah.
that'll be the four. And I think Bianca and Jade will have some type of stare off, because they're both big, strong ladies. So I
Mhm.
think they'll hint at a future match for them down the road. And I
This is the
think,
one time I'm sad that Charlotte's out, because I really wanted that stare down with Charlotte and Jade as
mhm,
opposed to Bianca and Jade. I think that that is going to be a moment when we see Jade and Charlotte in the ring together. So that
yeah,
kind of
for
bums
sure.
me out, but I think it's going to be a cool moment.
Yeah. With Charlotte being out, yeah, I think that's what adds to the unpredictability is because literally things can change on a dime.
Mhm.
And I feel the same way about the men's, which we'll talk about later. But
Mhm.
Um, yeah, overall, I'm excited for this Women's Royal Rumble. There's so many opportunities, and I just hope that they take full advantage of all the rosters
Mhm.
because I feel like sometimes it tends to not be really 50-50. And then, even with NXT, I want to see some of those women come. Like you said, Tiffany, Jade, if she's ready. Um, Valkyrie. Is that how you pronounce it?
Lyra Valkyria. I have a
Yeah.
really hard time with it too.
Because I just want to say Valkyrie, like.
Me too.
And then who else from NXT? I mean, Roxanne. She was in last year's, I believe, so I could see
Mhm.
her coming back and being in it again. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like one of these years they're gonna go balls to the walls and just have a bunch of NXT people being like Final Four.
That's what I was hoping for Tiffany because she is the epitome of the growth that you get in NXT. Like if you watch her from the very beginning all the way through her title reign to her match with Becky that had like more eyes on it than like a lot of the men's matches have, and it just like it was solid, and the progression that she's made and her character is hilarious. Like I love it. Like I really am hoping that she's not only in it, but she lasts for a long time. Like she ends
Mm-hmm.
up being like number 5 or something and then stays through to the end to show everybody, because they're going to have call-ups after WrestleMania because they do, pretty much
Yeah.
every year, and they haven't put the belt back on her yet. And I think them not putting the belt on her is indicative to her making her way up to the main roster soon.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so much talent. And this might be a hot take, but I think there's more talent in the women's division right now that have potential than in the men's division in NXT right now that have potential.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the most I've seen out of potential for women in a really, really long time, probably since the original like four horsewomen were in NXT. I don't think I've seen a group of women with as much potential as I see in NXT now.
Wow. Yeah. I can kind of agree with that. And, even when Zoe Stark was still in NXT, like, I always thought she was really good. And then coming up on the main roster, she's proving that she's really good. And I definitely
Mm-hmm.
think that Tiffany is one of those people that's just naturally gifted and she could really make a bold statement on the main
Mm-hmm.
roster. I could see her, like, being around the people of like Chelsea Green and people like that who are like, the pretty girlies.
Uh-huh, another rendition of, like, The Beautiful People, like, you get and then
Mm-hmm.
they, like, keep doing things with Piper where they, like, take her shopping. They kinda do what, like, Jacy Jane is doing in NXT. Like, they take Piper shopping and they try to, like, brighten her mood. I could see them doing that with Nikki Cross too, actually, like, bringing her in from the shadows and trying to, like, do, like, in Clueless, like where they just
Mm-hmm.
stuff like try to make her not like the dark brooding girl and like take her shopping and buy her makeup and stuff. Like I could see them doing something comical like that and I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think as soon as Sonya comes back, Piper's gonna get the boot from,
It
her
makes me
tag
so
team with
sad. I
Chelsea.
love her so much. I love Piper
I
Niven so much.
know.
I want a
But
stable with her and Nikki Cross and Kaylee Ray or yeah, Kaylee Ray and Isla Dawn. Like I want them to have like this Scottish destroyer opposition to damage control. Like I want them to have like a damage control equivalent on Raw. I think that it would be really cool.
well, I loved Piper Niven and Nikki Cross as a tag team because they were both Scottish. They just didn't do it right. But
Mhm.
we
100%.
digress. So the next match up, well, I'm assuming what will be the next match is Kevin Owens versus, I have to say, blonde YouTuber guy on here because Maddie doesn't like to say his real name. So Kevin Owens versus blonde YouTuber guy. I'm just gonna go right off the bat and say I hope Kevin Owens wins, and he's my prediction. I'm not even. I'm gonna live in my Delulu land. So
I would hope for him to win, but from what I've seen and what I've gathered my own, I made a TikTok a couple weeks ago about how the wrestling community that were big LA Knight fans have given up on LA Knight. And I think that we're gonna get LA Knight versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania for the US
Oh Lord.
championship. And LA Knight is going to beat the blonde YouTuber guy for his United States championship
So
because
you think he's
they
gonna hold it till
know,
Mania?
yeah. I think I because Logan, blonde YouTuber guy, he'll wrestle he'll wrestle at the Royal Rumble, which is this month. Then in February, we have Elimination Chamber. With him being such a big international star, I doubt that they take the title off of Logan Paul. And honestly, if they were smart, they would put blonde YouTuber guy with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, and they would be like a little band of misfits. I love Grayson Waller, but they all their personalities are the same. So like you take the three of them, you put them together, you get them through the elimination chamber. I don't know what's in March. I don't even know if there is anything in March, to be honest, pay per view
I
wise.
don't know.
I don't know because sometimes they skip months because they
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a pay per view in December. I don't think so.
No.
Like they skipped an entire month then, so I could see them skipping March or I don't know. But I see Logan, blonde YouTuber guy. Sorry, Maddie. I see the blonde YouTuber guy beating KO in a shisty way, probably because that's what he always does.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to get two of my most insufferable people in the ring together at WrestleMania with LA Knight versus blonde YouTuber guy, with LA Knight beating blonde YouTuber guy and winning his first championship.
Shayna, I'm so glad that we are on the same page, girl, because I am not a big LA Knight fan. Everybody knows that. Obviously, I'm not a fan of blonde YouTuber guy. Um,
Do you
I can.
remember what happened the last time I was on here and I made the comments that I made about I think well I know one of them had to do with Roman Reigns when somebody told me that I'm the reason why women shouldn't have the right to vote.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Um but I made a TikTok on my old page talking about why people are so obsessed with LA Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because he's nostalgic. If you close your
Yeah.
eyes, you hear The Rock and Stone Cold at the same time. And a lot of people my age, your age, around our ages, remember the feelings of Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. He's very much that. So people like connect to him. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
so many people love him because he reminds them of all of the things that they loved during, the Attitude Era. And I
Yeah.
actually had to pretend to be an LA Knight fan a couple weeks ago because he got the key to the city in his hometown, which is an hour away from me. And unfortunately, I got really sick and couldn't go. But the mayor of the city reached out to me on Facebook. I didn't even see it until like 2 weeks ago. But the mayor reached out to me and invited me to go to the I checked my messages on Facebook, which I never do, and I got a message request and I opened it and it was like, hey, here's my cell phone number. When you get to Hagerstown, let me know. I want to meet up with you and I want to get you up front. I want to get you to the front of the line to see him get the key to the city. So I clicked
Mm-hmm.
on her profile and it was the mayor of the city. And she
That's
wanted to
so
get me
funny.
there, but I was too sick to go anyway. But it was just like, well, now I got to pretend to be an LA Knight fan. And we're friends on Facebook. So I also have to be careful with what I say in my reels and stuff. So then he doesn't see it.
Yeah. That's how I feel. That's why, like, it's so hard sometimes because I feel like a lot of people don't want to say negative things about certain wrestlers because if you ever do meet them and if for some reason they've seen you say negative things about them, like, that's just such an awkward situation that, like, my anxiety cannot deal with. So
Uh-huh.
I don't think I would ever go to like a Becky meet and greet, even though I would love to meet Becky, but like, you know, I just fear that she's heard me say I don't like her leg drop. And like and like I wouldn't go to an LA Knight meet and greet. Like I wouldn't go, you know, there's just certain people that I wouldn't do that for. So yeah, I agree. Oh no, I think Shanna froze again. Ah, it's okay, guys. But you guys know how me and Maddie feel about blonde YouTuber guy. I'm gonna live in my Delulu land and think that Kevin Owens is gonna win. But you know, I hope blonde YouTuber guy at least gets the stunner on him, and I think it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna happen. He'll take a stunner. Hopefully, he'll sell it well. Because if not, then I'll just shit on him for that. Hey,
Hey. Yes, I agree. I heard what you were saying. I just couldn't communicate
perfect.
it back. So
Yeah,
I'm with you.
yeah. I really hope that he takes a stunner.
A couple.
But oh, and what you were saying about him being with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, I could totally see that happening. I don't want that to happen because
Me
I
either.
I am such a fan of um A Town Down Under. Like I just I want t-shirts. I want them to remain a tag team for a long time. Do I think
Mhm.
that's gonna happen? I don't know. They're already like kind of putting some stuff between them, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm assuming there's gonna be shenanigans again with one of Blonde YouTuber guy's friends coming in. Um, and you know, I'm just gonna pretend that Kevin Owens is gonna win, even if he's not.
Yes. And I am even less of a fan of the blonde YouTuber guy's brother. So
Ugh.
if he gets involved, I could handle Sami Zayn coming out and like rocking him a couple times too. It'd be fine.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be chef's kiss. He'll probably show up at Mania if he has another match.
Yeah.
Moving on to the men's Royal Rumble. I want to save the Fatal Four Way for last, so we'll talk about the men's Rumble first. Um, so who do you want to win, and who do you think's gonna win?
Yeah. Who I want to win and who is going to win are two completely different things for me. Because I would like for Cody to win, but to be honest, I want Drew McIntyre to win. But I have a whole. I think Drew's going to be the champion before WrestleMania even like before we get to that point. Um, because I think with Seth Rollins being injured, I think that Damian Priest is cashing in his money in the bank, beating Seth.
Ooh. Oh no, not again. Guys, I swear we'll get through this podcast eventually. Ugh, so unfortunate that her connection keeps going away. But um, Luke, you gotta stop saying this because you're manifesting it and I don't appreciate it. I know, guys. I know. It's honestly such a tragedy. And I wish there was a way that we could fix it. I wish there was a way that we could do this podcast in person. Unfortunately, when you have friends that are all across the country, it's just what happens sometimes. Normally StreamYard is a lot better than this. So if you guys have another website that will stream to your YouTube page, let me know if you guys know of any. Or if we should maybe move over to Twitch. I don't know. I don't know. All right, she's back again. Oh no, maybe not. Oh, guys. Oh no. It's not panning out. We'll have her try one more time. Hopefully it'll work itself out. It worked for a while on that one, but um, as far as the men's Royal Rumble, I'm not expecting as many surprises as I am for the women's. I'm getting ready for it, and you and Maddie isn't gonna like it either. Um, what do you mean? Maddie is a CM Punk fan. She likes CM Punk. So I don't think she would mind it. Okay, one more try.
All right, take 15. So I think CM Punk is winning the
uh,
Royal Rumble. I don't want it to happen. I would prefer for it to be Cody. But I think Drew McIntyre is going to be the champion by the time we get to the Royal Rumble. I mean, to WrestleMania.
mhm.
So I think that Priest cashes in because Rollins is injured, wins the briefcase. We get him and Drew at Elimination Chamber. Drew wins the belt, and then we end up with Drew and Punk at WrestleMania for the title. And my
Yeah, I
only
mean,
fear is that Drew does not keep it.
yeah, I think this Rumble has really had to maneuver because of Seth's injury. And, Seth pushed his body as far as he could go. And I just feel like it was only a matter of time. I mean, I know it's his knee and not his back, but he's also had
Mm-hmm.
knee problems in the past. So it's not entirely shocking. And it's really unfortunate. And I actually, for that reason, I don't think CM Punk is going to win the Rumble. I
I'd be all
think
right with that.
I think they want to wait to do CM Punk versus Seth because we all know how significant that story is going to be between
Mm-hmm.
them because Seth
Yep.
has not been shy about showing his disdain for Phil. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that they will want to wait and savor that. And even if that means SummerSlam, if that means next
Yep.
WrestleMania, I don't know. And also,
Well,
it
and then
really. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that like everything has just the men and women's side, like people being injured, has just screwed up everything. And the thing about this is, do we end up getting Roman working both nights of Mania because of this situation with Seth? Because we get Cody and Roman one night and Cody and The Rock, or I mean Roman and The Rock, if that's going to happen, which I couldn't care less if that happens or not, but I understand why people would want it. So like, do we end up with that? Do we end up with a whole new picture with somebody else potentially being the champion? Do they save Seth and have him have DQ matches for the next couple of, pay-per-views or whatever to get him to Mania, to have the story continue, so then we still get Seth and Punk? Because let's be honest, we haven't seen Punk wrestle a lot like on TV or anything, right? It was just at Madison Square Garden. So if he's not up to par, this could be a situation where we still get Seth versus Punk if Punk wins, and they just baby Seth for the next couple of months with,
Mhm.
injections in the knee and stuff. And I can say from personal experience, I have a lot of issues with my back, and you overcompensate. So his knees could have been, a little tender to begin with because he's overcompensating for his
Mhm.
back issues. So it's like with this issue, I mean, we saw Triple H and we saw Cody Rhodes both wrestle with torn pecs. MJF has been wrestling with a torn labrum. Like, do we see Seth risk it and, just take it easy for the next 3 months and
Mhm.
then make it to Mania and have a, 15-20 minute match with Phil? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if it is still the plan, then sure, CM Punk is probably gonna win the Rumble. But
Yeah.
if Seth has to get surgery, if he has to go through all that again, I don't think he would be ready by Mania,
Yeah.
and I feel like it would be dangerous to put him in that situation. I know he
Oh,
would
he'd
want
be
to.
out for at least until SummerSlam. I
Yeah,
would say he would at least be out till SummerSlam.
and I know he would want to do it, but sometimes what you want and what you can do are two different things. It's always been this knee, the knee that he hurt. here is the same knee he's hurt in the past. Exactly. Exactly. Um, I thought it was the same knee. I wasn't 100% positive. Um, but yeah, he's already had an issue with this knee, and he re-aggravated the injury, and that tends to happen when you already have an injured knee. Um, so it's really unfortunate, and I'm hoping the best for Seth. I'm hoping for a speedy recovery. But if the plan is still to do Seth versus Punk, then fine. Then CM Punk can win the Royal Rumble. I don't care. But like, I just think that having him on the having CM Punk on the Elimination Chamber poster to me is very strange, because why would he participate in the Elimination Chamber if he's going to win the Rumble? So to me, that's just a little weird. Like, what would be the point of having him have a match at Elimination Chamber, or even be part of the Elimination Chamber match, if he's going to win the Rumble? That doesn't make sense. So why put him on the poster? That's just how I feel about it. First injury was the triple whammy, then the injury he had was Samoa Joe for the match with Triple H, and that was one. Yeah, yeah. Man, tomorrow's Raw is going to have implications on Saturday. Yeah, for sure, for sure. And, that's one of the hard things about doing this podcast on Sundays, is that literally tomorrow, on Mondays, things can change and matches could be added, or anything could happen over the next week. SmackDown, a match could be added. It's kind of annoying that there's no women matches on the card at all. Neither Io or Rhea are defending their titles. And there's no, even a women's story match is not on the card. And not really that they have any stories ready anyway, but I just wish there was at least one women's match on the card. But it's fine. Hey guys, I'm a huge fan of the show, and I have CM Punk win the Royal Rumble, and he's going to take on Seth at Mania, because Seth will be good to go by Mania. That's all we can hope for, Christopher, whatever you want to go by. Thank you so much for saying that you're a huge fan of the show. We appreciate it. We're obviously not the most perfect podcast in the world, but we try our damnedest. So I appreciate that. Thank you. And hopefully Maddie will be back next week, and I will let her know that you were here in the chat supporting us, because it really does mean a lot to us. You don't want Seth to rush back just to have the match, and for the match to be bad at Mania. Exactly. And I don't want Seth to come back before he's ready. I don't think it's safe, and it may be what's best for business, but what's best for business is for Seth to be healthy, and for him to be here for a long time, not have to retire early, like Edge, like numerous other people who had to retire early because of injuries. So I think the most important thing is for him to get better, to recover, and make sure that he can go 100% whenever that match against CM Punk is. If it's going to be at Mania, then that is what it is. Next week's podcast is going to be a fun for Mary if Punk wins. Guys, I wish you could have seen my reaction when he came back. I honestly should have recorded it. I literally was so upset when he returned. And maybe I'll put up a reaction video when I watch the Rumble. I'll record myself when it gets down to the final four, the final three, and eventually the winner, because I'm not prepared, guys. I'm not prepared for what is potentially going to happen. I'll tell you this right now. If we don't get some sort of explanation by tomorrow, WWE will be in trouble. I'm sure they're gonna have an explanation. I'm not sure if Shayna's gonna be able to come back, because obviously there was technical issues. But I will just give you guys my predictions for the men's Royal Rumble. Who I want to win. This is gonna surprise you guys. I want. Yay!
I am doing it from my phone this time, so let's
Okay.
see if we can get this to work.
Okay, well, I was just gonna start giving my predictions. I was saying who I would actually want to win the Royal Rumble to just give them an opportunity is Chad Gable. I just feel like he deserves a title opportunity. Obviously, I know he's not going to win the Rumble, so he's not my like prediction. It's just it's a Delulu pipe dream for Chad Gable to win the Royal Rumble.
I
But
have always said that I think the winners of Money in the Bank and the Royal Rumble should be people that don't normally get title opportunities
mhm,
because it's just like that extra. You know what I mean? Like we know Chad Gable's never going to get a title opportunity. We know that I don't know. It's got to be believable, but there
mhm.
are a list of people that aren't going to get championship opportunities, like Ricochet, for example. Like, I think he's hurt now or something, but
Don't
Ricochet,
say that.
I don't know. I haven't seen him in a while, so I was assuming that's why he has been gone for a while. I hadn't seen him
I
in a
hope
while.
not.
But like Ricochet wouldn't normally get a title opportunity. And then that one year, Mustafa Ali was supposed to win Money in the Bank, and then it got canceled, and then Brock Lesnar won it. But like, I think that people that win the Royal Rumble and Money in the Bank in particular should be people that don't normally get championship opportunities. And I think they're doing it
Agree.
right with Damian Priest because we all know he deserves to have a title opportunity, but like he wasn't in the position then when he won it where a lot of people would feel that way.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Um, I mean, what something that I could see happening for the men's Royal Rumble is Chad actually tosses out Gunther, and then they have a rematch, and Chad takes the title off Gunther so that Gunther can move up to the other titles. I
See,
could
and I
100% see that.
I think so. My final five. So getting to my dream and like what I am predicting is Cody, Punk, Gunther, Drew McIntyre, if he's not already champion, and LA Knight. And in my opinion, I do think that Gunter needs to lose the title and go for the bigger title.
Hmm.
But in my opinion, to keep him strong, I think that it needs to happen in like a triple threat to where he's not the pinned one. Because I had this whole thing before Giovanni Vinci got hurt that like to to make sure that Gunter was protected, it was um, Gunter, Chad Gable, and Giovanni Vinci. And
Oh.
Chad Gable pins Giovanni Vinci and wins the Intercontinental Championship, keeping Walter Gunter, keeping him as the strong champion that he is and was. It
Hmm.
also creates the dissension within Imperium, and then you get the title off of him while he still looks strong, and then Chad Gable gets his opportunity.
Oh, we can only dream of these things,
Yeah,
truly.
yeah,
And I hope Vinci's recovering well.
yeah.
Someone said, "Can you guys see Big E returning?" Honestly, I'd cry. I'd cry.
Me too, but I don't see it happening.
I don't either.
I would cry too. I 100% would cry.
I unfortunately think Big E is probably going to retire. As much as I don't want that at all, I definitely want him to come back. I just don't know. I just don't know. But
Yeah.
um, if the plan has changed for CM Punk to win, like if he's no longer going to do that because of Seth or because of the Elimination Chamber for him being the poster boy, I don't know. That the whole situation's weird to me. If it's not going to be him, then I think Cody could pull out a two-time back-to-back Royal Rumble win, and
Hmm.
because no one's done that since Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, and I
So
wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it at all.
I mean I think like I'm torn because obviously I want new people to have opportunities that they don't normally get. But what other way is there for Cody to finish the story? Like I really don't know. So
Yeah. I just think this whole rock thing throws a monkey wrench into all of it.
Yeah.
in a bad way and a good way. I literally could not care less because I think it's 2 years too late. I think it needed to happen when Sami Zayn, at minimum a year ago, when Sami Zayn like got kicked out of the bloodline and everything, at
Mhm.
minimum, The Rock should have came back then. He could have said, you're letting this get out of hand. You're not representing the family, good enough, blah, blah, blah. And then we get everybody still together a year ago. You have the Usos still together. You have Solo there. Like everybody's together a year ago. But now it's like the party's over. And of
Yeah.
course, you get those people that, show up fashionably late, but like everybody from the party's gone and The Rock comes now. It seems too late. And I know people are going to love it and people are going to enjoy it. There's rumors that he's going to show up at Elimination Chamber instead, which I think would be cool. And the people complaining about it, because the Elimination Chamber's in Australia,
Mhm.
90% of the people complaining weren't going to the Elimination Chamber anyway. So even if it was in the States, so where it is doesn't matter if you're going to watch it from TV anyway.
Yeah.
But like, I personally like for WrestleMania makes the most sense for The Rock, right? Because it's the biggest show of the year. But then you have somebody that gets stepped on because one person changing the course of a story for three or four other people, that it's a domino effect. So you
Mhm.
think The Rock coming in might only affect Cody, but in reality it could affect everybody else associated with the championship over the next 12 months, so it's like I don't really know where we go from here. I guess it all depends on if Seth is injured and out for Mania, and if they decide to have Cody or Punk win the Rumble. And me personally, we don't get many surprises in
Mhm.
wrestling now because everything's spoiled or predictable. And this is one of those years where there's literally like four people that could win the Royal Rumble for the men, and
Yeah.
there could be a big story told with all four of them.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's so exciting now.
Hmm.
Like, I think right now is the time to be a wrestling fan
Yeah.
because we're in such a new formula now that it's not as predictable to me as it once was. I feel like
Hmm.
even 2 years ago, it was still super predictable, like who was going to win, who was going to show up, like all those things. So,
Yeah.
like I said before, I'm really excited. I don't see as many like surprise returns for the men's. I just feel like
Yeah.
for them we've been there, done that. I can't think of. I mean, I can't think of like even anyone who's injured right now who would be
Oh,
ready to come back.
I had written down, so I know Brock is probably going to show up. We're going to get a Brock. I hate Brock Lesnar. So, like, I just could not care less. I could care less about Brock than I do about Phil Brooks. But we've all been wanting for years. I've had a dream match of Kevin Owens versus Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar versus Walter before he came to the WWE. So like I had this dream match of these like four beasts just beating each other up. So me personally, I am expecting to see a stare down between Brock Lesnar and Gunther. And I think that's what we're going to get at WrestleMania. The only thing that scares me is I don't think they would give the Intercontinental Championship to Brock. I think it's beneath him. That
I don't want
concerns
that.
me a little bit. I don't want it at all either. I want to see them fight, but I don't want to see it be at Gunter's expense
Mm-hmm.
unless Brock decides to put him over even more. I don't know, but this is going to be totally off the wall for a surprise. I think we're going to see some ECW people in the Rumble again. I think it's all going to tie together in with WrestleMania being in Philly. I see X Pac showing up in the Royal Rumble this year because
Wow.
he has been he's wrestled a few times in the indies lately. I think he wrestled Joey Janela not too long ago, or attacked Joey. I can't quite remember, but I know he's shown up in the indies lately in
Mhm.
different events. And I don't know what it is, but I could 100% see X-Pac showing up in the Royal Rumble this year.
Honestly, that'd be so great. I would love that.
I could see it.
Well, let's finish off with this fatal four-way that, like, guys, don't even get me started. I just feel like this fatal four-way was just so mishmash put together because they couldn't decide which way they wanted to go. So they said, let's just do everybody. Randy has
Yep.
his reasons, AJ has his reasons, and LA Knight has his reasons. Let's just put all of them together because we don't want to just pick one person. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I get it, but at the same time, it's just infuriating. Like, it should have just been
Yeah.
Randy versus Roman. That's what it should have been to me. And I understand AJ's reasons. I don't think he needed to be included.
Mm-mm.
LA Knight, honestly, I don't understand at all because you lost. Get over it. You lost at Crown Jewel. Sorry, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he should have been part of this match, and I'm sure I'm gonna get hate for that because the LA Knight fans are still
Not from
alive and
me.
kicking.
Not from me. You're not getting hate from me on that one because I agree 100%.
Yeah. Who I would want to win, obviously, is Randy.
Randy.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because
Same.
he's the legend killer. I feel like that makes so much sense, and because Roman is a legend at this point, he's had
Mm-hmm.
this title for almost 4 years. Like, it's just it's insane, and
Mm-hmm.
I think he's gonna hold it until Mania probably. So I'm predicting that he is going to win because Solo and Jimmy are gonna pull some shenanigans.
Yep.
Maybe, like, I don't know, some mind games happen. I don't know, but I'm predicting Roman to retain for whatever reason.
Me too. I think the same thing, and I just have to say, in the most non-condescending way ever, I love that the WWE is pushing so many young stars now in this match because, you see the ex WWE guys going over to other companies, and why would you want to bet your company on old guys in their 40s and 50s? And why would you ever want to promote that? Meanwhile, we have the potential main event for a pay-per-view with everybody over the age of 40. And I'm being a complete, like, just sarcastic potato on that because I couldn't care less if somebody's 30, 40, 50, 20, whatever in a match. I made fun of the fact that, like, Seth Rollins and CM Punk were in the same ring together being ex-Ring of Honor guys.
Mhm.
Just like I'm making fun of the fact that people are like, AEW doesn't push younger talent, they only bank off of old people. Meanwhile, everybody in this match is over the age of 40. So I would just like to say that as a sarcastic potato. I am excited about the match because I love Randy. They could throw an absolute monkey wrench in this entire thing and have Randy win the belt. They could throw a monkey wrench in this entire thing and have Damian Priest come in and cash in during the match and do something off the wall. So, like, I think Roman's keeping it. In my opinion, I think Roman's going to have it at least until SummerSlam because I
Really?
think, yeah, because what I'm afraid is going to happen is we're not going to get Cody and Roman at WrestleMania. We're going to have to hold out until SummerSlam with The Rock being in this picture, unless they do The Rock and Roman at Elimination Chamber, which I don't see them necessarily doing because of the hype of WrestleMania.
Mhm.
I don't see them doing Cody versus Roman at the Elimination. Like, I just don't know, but I don't see Roman losing it at Mania. I see him losing it at SummerSlam. Or if he doesn't lose it at if he doesn't lose it at Mania, I see him wrestling The Rock at SummerSlam. So I think we're going to see The Rock versus Roman in 2024, but I don't really know where.
Yeah. I mean, just one thing that like I thought about, if Randy took the title from Roman and then if Cody won the Rumble, then it would
That's
be
him
Cody
finishing
versus
the story.
Randy, which
Yeah.
Cody versus Randy, please, please give that to me because there's
Hmm.
so much history there.
Yeah.
Like it would just be, I would eat it up. I would
Yeah,
absolutely eat
and
it up.
like 100%. And I said the same thing with like Edge. So like when Edge was still there, I had a theory that he was revisiting all of his characters. So like he redid like the Brood Edge, and I had a feeling he was finishing his story by revisiting all of his. And if Randy would have been there, like I think it would have been different if Randy was there. Like we would have seen Edge versus Randy in it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like I think that Edge was doing that, and I think that it would be such a cool story, long term booking situation if Randy did win and Cody won, because people automatically assume that Cody finishing his story means it's against Roman.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be against Roman. It could be
Nope.
against Seth because he got hurt in the match with Seth and tore his pec. It could be against Randy because he finishes that story.
Mhm.
It could be anything. We're just assuming that it's Roman, and it might not necessarily be Roman. It would be cool. It would be a total swerve if it was Randy.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ways that they could create these stories. And like sometimes I really wish I could go back in time, get my like some type of degree that allows me to write for for WWE because there's just so many things
Uh-huh.
that I would just love to see. And obviously they can't fit
Hmm.
everything, you know, into a year, but they can they can sure well try. And I
And
think
they've
they
done a
should.
lot in the last year or two since Triple H really, took control of everything. They've done a lot of different things that they wouldn't have done before. We would have never
Mhm.
seen those 5-star matches from Chad Gable and Gunther
Oh,
if, Vince would have been there. We wouldn't have seen a lot of the things with that if, Vince had still, been in charge. But I think that there's just so much going on now that it's really hard to predict now because we have 25, 30 years of anecdotal evidence of what Vince McMahon would do in
mhm.
situations, and we're only at a year and a half under Triple H. So like it's easy for us to say what we know would happen under Vince, but we really don't know, what's going to
Mhm.
happen under Triple H. So it's kind of interesting.
I think one thing that I could see happening, I know we're supposed to be talking about like the Fatal 4-Way match, but one thing I could see happening with the Royal Rumble is now that WWE is under the like UFC umbrella, I could see some MMA fighters like coming into the Rumble just for that shock value and for that surprise. I
Hmm.
think that could be something that could be interesting. Do I necessarily want it? Not really, but
Yeah.
it could be, you know, interesting and it'll promote that crossover. But back
Yeah.
to this match. Um, I agree. Somebody said it that either AJ or LA Knight will take the pin, and I agree. I agree with that. It's not going to be Randy. There's no way they're going
No.
to have. There's no way they're going to have Roman pin Randy. And I know people were talking about like, oh, have them stack them up again. We've been there, done that. We don't need it again. We don't
And
need.
if you think Roman's going to lose clean anyway, you must have just started watching wrestling tomorrow because there
Yeah,
ain't no way he's beating the four of them completely clean. It's just not going to happen.
yeah,
Or the three, he's not going to beat the three of them clean. It's impossible.
yeah. Obviously, Jimmy and Solo are going to come into this, and I mean, maybe even someone else joins them. I don't know. They have so many family members in wrestling.
What if what if we see Cody and Jay because they're going to be in the same venue? Like, what if we see a
Mm.
scenario where the bloodline attacks everybody? And I could even see AJ Styles being a heel now. I could see AJ just getting up and dipping out when all chaos breaks loose and stuff. I could see AJ just going, and then like, what if Cody and Jay show up to help Randy because Cody has that connection to Randy.
Hmm.
Like there's just a lot of things that I think could happen.
I was kind of hoping for that on, I think it was the last pay per view. I was like, why didn't Jay come out? Like, I don't know, it didn't make sense to me. But
Mhm.
um, as far as this match goes, I believe Roman's gonna win. I almost said AJ Lee. AJ Styles or LA Knight is gonna take the pinfall. Also, really quick, can we talk about what AJ Styles has been wearing in the ring lately? Why is this man wearing dress pants and loafers? I don't understand it. Where's his ring gear? Where is it?
he he's lost his mind. He thinks the world's flat. There's probably some conspiracy theory behind his outfit. He looks like where in the world is Carmen San Diego right now? He just needs a hat. Like I he's just I can't imagine knowing that for I don't know, 15 years of your wrestling career, you were the best professional wrestler in the world, arguably. And then you come to the biggest, like, it's not even a question. You come to the biggest wrestling promotion in the entire world, and they have you, 7 years into your career there, wearing, like you're a dad trying to get into the ring for the first time. I don't, he sells insurance part time, professionally wrestles part time. I don't know, but I can't imagine in your brain, like knowing that you were arguably the best wrestler in the world. And then now you're like all juiced Styles, like wearing a trench coat and slacks I don't understand it. I just gave Triple H
Yeah.
too much credit a couple minutes ago, and now I take it all back. What they did to AJ Styles.
It just seems like his luggage got lost and he just hasn't been able to replace his ring gear. Like I don't know, but AJ, I please for the Rumble wear regular ring gear. Thank you. Um, one more thing that I wanted to talk about before we went off. I just watched SmackDown with my husband, and the signs were really unhinged in this audience. One that I want to talk to you about in particular because you're a parent, is the sign that a little boy was holding. Did you see this?
I shared it.
That said, "Acknowledge my get."
Okay, I'm gonna
sorry.
say this. I'm gonna say this as a parent of a 12-year-old boy. Okay, so like I have two perspectives of this.
Mhm.
That term is a Gen Z child term, just like when we would sing, "Baby Got Back," and just I come at it from two different perspectives because the only people that are really keeping that term alive anyway are Gen Z boys. But that little
And Gen
boy
Alpha.
was like that little boy he probably was Gen Alpha, to be honest. My daughter's 8, and that little boy looked even more like my daughter's age than my son's age. And this is one of those situations where, like, I know what we watched as children during the Attitude Era. I know that there were probably 8-year-olds holding tasty signs from Sable. Like, I am well aware.
Mm-hmm.
As a parent, I don't think that little boy fully understands the sign. I'm going to go on a limb and say his dad made it for him and thought he would get more recognition with his, like, 9-year-old son holding the sign up. I shared it because I thought the sign was funny in itself, and it took me a good hour to realize there was a little boy holding it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little taboo. It's a little taboo. If he was my son's age, like if he was 12 or 13, I don't think I'd feel that way. I don't think I'd feel necessarily like maybe his dad shouldn't have let him make that sign. But knowing that he's closer to my daughter's age, he's probably about like 9 or 10. The dad definitely shouldn't have allowed him to have that sign. And the fact that they removed a Wheezy Blonde sign from a fan in the front row. They removed Wheezy's sign. Yeah, so I don't know if it was last week or the week before. They moved him too. They took his sign and moved him to a different section where he wasn't like on camera, and he paid for those seats. So not only did they take the Wheezy Blonde, it said "I'm a Wheezy Blonde guy." and
Mm-hmm.
they took his sign and they moved him. So
That's
like
bullshit.
it's and the fact that the WWE on Fox official social media pages were the ones that shared that little boy sign is kind of what threw me for a loop, other than the fact that the little boy was holding the sign.
Like, obviously, I'm not a parent, so it may not like translate like what I'm trying to say, but to me, if you're letting your child have that sign, either you don't know what the word is and you just thought it was just some like random Gen Alpha word that they're saying because that happens. You know, your kids start
Mm-hmm.
saying slang terms that you don't know what it is. Either so you were either ignorant to the fact that you don't know what the word is, or you did know what the word is and you wanted that shock value of being on TV. So it's like either way, I feel like as a parent that doesn't make you look good. Like, am I
No,
wrong?
no, you're not wrong. And it's one of those situations where I can laugh at it because it's not my kid. Because I would never. And my son would never. He would be embarrassed to hold up the sign and to say that.
Yeah.
And it's one of those situations where like if because I'm divorced and my ex-husband is planning on taking our daughter to see SmackDown here in April in Pittsburgh. And I know that he would never do that. Like he would never make a sign for her like that.
Mm.
But I could see it being a situation like that where like if he did, I can assure you that I would probably like just throttle him after. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those situations where like I am glad that the sign did not sexualize the little it, let me put it this way. If somebody had a sign that said, like, I came here to see Bailey's,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's what I said in my initial post. Um, so, like, let's say he had a sign that said that. That is not the sexualization of the child, right? But if you have a sign that said, like, um, I came here so Bailey could see my,
Yeah.
that would be an issue. I also had an issue with, I don't know if you remember, but a few weeks ago, there was a little boy who was giving Natty a hug. He gave Natty a hug and he touched her boob.
Oh, I did
And
not see that.
somebody got, I don't think he did it on purpose because he was literally like 6 or 7 years old.
Oh,
And he
okay.
was hugging her and his hand went on her boob. And the fans were the ones sexualizing the situation. They were like, "Oh, he just became a man," or like he's living all of our dreams and stuff. And I'm like, quit sexualizing children. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is an issue. He was like he did it by accident. You could tell he was just giving her a hug, and
Yeah.
she came by, and it happened. And I think that there are going to be a lot of people that hear this and see this take and be like, "Oh, just loosen up, have a good time." It's because it was a little boy. If it was a
Yeah.
little girl holding a sign that said she came here to see, I don't know, Bobby Lashley's junk or something, people would have lost it. It would have been a bigger issue. But since people over sexualize women in professional wrestling in general, they don't really it's not as big of an issue as it would have been if it was a little girl holding a sign saying she came to see someone's junk. It's the equivalent. It's the same thing. So like
Well, I feel like it would have been even worse if it would have been a little girl holding the sign that said "Acknowledge my get," because it's a different connotation when it's a girl. And
yeah, yeah,
because it was a little boy, people are like, "Oh, ha ha ha, that's funny." But if it would have been
exactly.
a little girl
Yeah.
holding that sign, no,
Uh-huh.
absolutely not.
Yeah. And it's the sexualization of kids that I don't like. If it would have said, like, I'm here to see Bailey's, yeah, I would have been like, that's a little weird, but it would still be funny, right? Like, that is something that I could be like, oh, he must have a crush on Bailey. Because at
Mhm.
like 10, 11 years old, like, you kind of know that you like think somebody's pretty or attractive or whatever. That to me would have been a little bit more like understandable, for lack of a better term. I would have never let my kids make that first and foremost. Never, never. but it would have been a little bit more acceptable, I guess you could
Mm-hmm.
say, if he was talking about someone else and not himself. Because the parent that helped him make that sign is sexualizing their child.
Yeah.
And, like, like the both of us said, it would have been totally different if it was a little girl. And you would have seen the creeps come out of the woodwork.
Mm-hmm.
What's she gonna look like when she's 16, or what's she gonna look like when she's 18, or I've gone on rants in my real life about like family vloggers and people sexualizing their kids and using their kids for content because they can't
Yeah.
do it on their own. And I don't share my kids' faces on social media like that. I posted 2 videos of my daughter the other day, but she was wearing a Scream costume, so you couldn't even see her.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I already don't like things like that.
Yeah.
So, seeing things like that make me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I shared it because I didn't realize at first that it was a kid. And in my comment at the top, I was like, I should have made this sign for Bailey or like something to that effect. But
Mm-hmm.
like, as a parent, I would never.
Yeah.
I would never. And you can call me a stick in the mud, whatever. There is absolutely no way that I'm going to let my child talk about his behind on
Mm-hmm.
national TV.
Yeah, I mean, I think people just they want to go for that shock value, and that was
Mhm.
just like really, it was really a big like ick to me that his parents let him bring that sign. And like I went to Raw day one, and the little kid next to me was a little boy. I don't know if you saw my video, but he had a sign that said, I love WWE and ice cream. And I'm like, that is so wholesome and cute. And I love that
Yeah,
sign because I was like, me, bro, me. Like, I love
yeah.
WWE and ice cream. Like, it was just so innocent. And I think a lot of that still gets lost, especially with
Mhm.
wrestling. I feel like kids aren't being innocent when they're watching WWE because even though it is PG, like there's still a lot of things that go on, and some of these kids are trash talking more than I am, to
Uh-huh.
these wrestlers, and
I'm
so
afraid of kids, so like I have two, but I'm afraid of them. So like I'm not going to argue with the kid about wrestling. If you want me to acknowledge Roman Reigns, that's the only time I'm going to do it. If a 12-year-old girl's telling me to do it because they scare me,
mhm,
but
yeah,
like I'm not going to do it.
yeah. But I think people need to think about what signs they're bringing to shows because I feel like that does not make you look good as a parent. Like imagine if your kid's friends parents saw that or whoever, someone that
Hmm.
your family members, like they're gonna be like, do you know what that means? Like, do you understand what that sign is? Like, and
Hmm.
it just makes you look bad. And I just wanted to address that really quick because I just saw that on SmackDown and I was just like baffled. But so
Well,
let's
the
do
thing that
better. Let's
made
do better with signs, guys.
and it isn't even just the parent and the child. I mean, obviously, I'm not blaming the kid at all. It's SmackDown on Fox. They shared it. They're where I saw it. They shared it on their Instagram story.
I love
So
that.
like, but then again, like it's one thing if you want to be a crappy parent, I get that. But like the fact that the WWE official SmackDown
Yeah.
Instagram shared it was my issue. And maybe they didn't see the child at first either, because I didn't see the kid at
Hmm.
first either. I just saw the sign. So like, and heck, maybe the dad made it and then like I don't know, but I think parents need to do a little bit better. But that dad potentially also grew up during the Attitude Era and
Hmm.
is one of these developmentally delayed people because of it, and thought that it was okay because he grew up seeing puppies, you know?
Yeah. So just for all the parents out there who are wrestling fans and their kids are wrestling fans, please don't bring signs like that. I understand the shock value. I understand, haha, hee hee, whatever. It's supposed to be a joke. I get it, but let's just not. So, thank you so much, Shayna, for coming back on. We love having you here. You're
Thank
so
you.
insightful and like so thorough. And any man who tells you that you shouldn't be a wrestling fan can go go away.
Thanks. I try.
And shout out to everyone who was here in the chat, Phil, Luke Skywalker, like, you guys are always here and we appreciate you. Hopefully, Maddie will be back next week and we can do our review of Rumble. Shayna, if you want to come back, that's totally awesome. If you do, if you can't for some reason, that's fine too.
Okay.
But if you want to, you can, just so we can see if your predictions and if your dream came true.
I might not come back if I win the lottery, though. I'm just saying, because I'm going to go
I
play the
mean,
lotto if that's what happens. And I might be streaming with you guys from like a tropical location, but we'll see.
totally valid, totally valid. And also, I mean, if you don't want to come on because CM Punk wins, also understandable. I won't want to be here if CM Punk wins. So, anyway, thank you so much again, and I
Thank
will see
you.
you guys next Sunday for our review of Royal Rumble. And I hope everyone is excited for the show, and it's the first pay-per-view of the year. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the podcast, follow the podcast on all the socials. Make sure to follow both of us on our TikToks and our Instagrams and all that good stuff. Is there any final words you want to say?
Nope. I think we got it covered.
All right. I'll see you guys next week.